And welcome to another episode of the Expert to Authority show. And today we interview the one and only Caroline Cooper, which is the winner of the GTeX Contribution Award 2022. And today we are going to have a great conversation around contribution because Caroline didn't win the Contribution Award, the GTeX Contribution Award, once. She didn't win it twice. She won it three times over the years. And there is no better person to talk about the topic of contribution. We're going to explore, going to see where this conversation goes, and then in particular explore how we can contribution can impact your business, can impact you on a personal level, and how business and contribution they are linked. There's going to be a lot of conversation like this that we're going to have today. But I want to start first of all with a question, as we're talking about contribution. Caroline, what does contribution mean to you?
It's interesting because I actually had to look that word up, and what I found, it said part played by a person or thing bringing about a result or helping something in advance. So it's that helping something to happen. And for me, contribution is actually helping people to get through stuckness or to succeed. So there's some drive, there's something in me that I just enjoy helping people to succeed. And if I can play a part in that, then it just feels good. you know?
Yeah. Where does
Yeah.
it come from? Where does it come from? Because there is a
Yeah.
reason why you won the contribution award for 3 years. Is because there is I can't think anyone else in GTeX that gave more of your time than you, and the members know it. The team sees it. Where does this desire to contribute comes from?
I don't actually know where it comes from, but I have a memory when I was in the junior school of one particular year group. I was actually helping my friend with her maths. And I remember, I was loving it because I was helping her and she was getting it right. But it got to a point where the teacher had to say I had to stop because I was I was falling behind with getting my own work done. But I think I was getting more joy out of helping her succeed. Uh, and I guess there is that point of you have to not let it become a point where actually you aren't gaining anything from it or that it's holding you back. And if you can hear that bell in the distance that's going, there's a doorbell. It says it's that ringer that needs to ring and you need to listen to. If you are giving, sometimes you can give too much at the detriment to yourself. So you do need to listen to that warning bell. But it didn't stop me. I mean, okay, I started doing my own work again, but it didn't actually stop me from helping her because for me, that was the joy. I enjoyed doing that. And so where does that come from? I don't know. There's something within
Is
me.
in you already. It
Just,
was in you already.
yes.
You know what? In a moment, I would love to actually go and keep talking about the actually how do you find the balance between contributing to things that you love and that you care about without that going at the detriment of some other personal goals or objectives or things that are important for you. But before we go there, let's just, because we haven't actually introduced, like, who you are and what you do and so on. So tell us a bit more about your business, so then everyone has also some context and what you do and who you help.
um, yeah, what I do now is I support women in actually becoming more productive with their writing and by unlocking the writer within. helping them to connect with their deeper innate ability to write. And that actually came about through my own journey of unlocking the writer within. It all started because I used to be a teacher. So again, I had that. I enjoyed supporting students in becoming successful with their maths because I was a maths teacher. And then I discovered educational kinesiology, brain gym, which actually helped my daughter, who was struggling to access the learning at school. It supported her in actually succeeding in her exams and turning things around. And I just knew I needed to know more, because as a parent, when you can't help your child, it's like it really sits here in your heart. And when you suddenly find something that helps them, it's like, it's amazing. So I needed to know more, and I started training in that. And then my whole world opened up into personal development. It's a whole different, world that opened up, and I ended up leaving teaching, but realizing that through training in educational kinesiology and some other modalities as well, NLP, brain gym, sorry, touch for health, the journey, I was actually helping people to become unstuck. I realized there was very often people get stuck. So that was the start of my journey, of wanting to set up business and help people to stop being stuck. But it sort of opened up into me ended up writing. It just, all these years later, I mean, this is 20 years later, I'm here with writing, and I'm actually even now still asking the Lord why writing. But I've discovered a lot about myself through this journey, and I've realized that actually there's a lot you can discover yourself through writing, and there is a journey to be had. There's a lot of personal development that can be had through writing. And so I've realized that actually it's not just about helping people to write their story or their book, but about not being stuck, about finding themselves, having that personal development, that growth, personal discovery, and working with that inner child more often than not, who is stuck, who thinks they can't do it or don't. Something happened to that child, and I think that's where I really enjoy and find myself working with is that inner child, because then that inner child can develop and grow and become the adult.
It looks like then the writing becomes an access point to unlocking something else that gets unlocked through writing. And writing is not the end goal, is kind of the medium to the transformation and the change. Now, I want to go back to the topic, which is what we're talking about, which is contribution. And I want to now restart a conversation that we started, like get back to the conversation about, some people can get lost in contribution and need to find a balance between, and I had definitely to find it myself, between contributing to things that I love, that I'm behind, that I'm fully behind, and I'm passionate about, without that stopping other personal goals or things that were important for me. How did you find that balance?
Took me a long time, because I enjoyed it so much. I was assisting and crewing for lots of different events and organizations and people, and it got to one point where I was assisting for this one particular organization, and I assisted with them for about 10 years. And I got to a point where I realized that my whole life was living around that. All my thoughts were there, and that actually it had come to a point where it was at the detriment of my business. It has certainly helped me a lot in terms of finding myself, finding my confidence around running events, being part of setting up events and running them and crewing them. And for me, that was important because I lost a lot of that confidence in terms when I left teaching because of what happened. But also, there was that, I always had that question, how do you run an event? Can I do it? And I never saw myself being able to actually to do that. So actually, I gained a lot from seeing how events were put on, how a leader showed up, and how they were treated, and what they expected, and how they could be supported by people who were crewing or assisting. And it did give me that confidence, because then I was someone who was a course lead, a course supervisor. I was course leader support, and I enjoyed it. But then I suddenly woke up one day and thought, hang on, it's in my head too much. I want more space in my head for my business. I now need to focus on my business, because that isn't happening. And it was a sort of a waking up point. And that's when I said, I cut down on the amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, at one point, it helped me to actually be able to say no. Because I think there was a part of me didn't want to say no in the beginning. It's, oh, yes, 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 and enjoyed that. And then it got to that point where I found that I could say no, and realized that actually they were happy with a no, because it was like, okay, they knew where they stood, just going to need to find someone else. They didn't need to know the ins and the outs. A no is a
Yeah.
no. And, when they said, well, can we still ask you if you want to assist? I said, yeah, as long as you're happy with me saying no, keep on asking me. And I realized that a lot of people are not comfortable with saying no.
Yeah.
And therefore they will get taken advantage of, because you'll be known as that person that just keeps saying yes.
As a
You
person,
need to be able
absolutely.
to say no.
And that's the other side of of contribution, where uh, people that love to contribute, they're generally people that love to
Mm.
give, and they get back personally, which we're going to talk now also on the other side. What are you gonna get back? So they get back a lot by giving, but then there is a point where now it's not balanced anymore, where the giving
Yeah.
goes way too much compared to what the return is, and then it doesn't make sense. And and so, what would you suggest to people that are in that situation, that they feel like, oh, I think now the balance is tipping too much on the other side. What would you recommend them to do as a first step?
Actually recognize that it's out of balance, and then decide what it is they want to do. So for me, it eventually it got to the point where I thought, enough, I need to stop, because it was too much in my head. And my business wasn't in my head. I want to change this. So it's making that decision once you've recognized that there is this imbalance. And it's just making a commitment to yourself to say, right, I want to rebalance this. And what would that rebalance look like for me? So
Yeah.
in that particular moment for me, it was rebalancing in terms of, right, I've done enough assisting here for now. I need to fully focus on my business.
Yeah.
So certainly, yeah, decide what it is you want and make that commitment to yourself.
So kind of like decide first of all what is that you want, and so then
Mm-hmm.
you see how can you create more space, because if you are giving too much in different places,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's on a personal or a business level, then you still need to have the space for things to come to you, and for
Yeah.
that time to grow other
Mm-hmm.
things that are important for you other than the organizations you might be part of or other projects. I want to now
Mm-hmm.
flip the script though, because contribution brings also incredible joy, brings growth, brings opportunities. You already mentioned that you started contributing with that the other organization previously, because you wanted to run event, and in GTeX you won the contribution award because you've been given and you're still giving a lot to GTeX. I'm curious, within as let's look at the contribution part of years that you gave to GTeX. What are some of the unexpected things that you got back? If you can think about one or two things that you would say, Wow, by contributing here, this is actually what I got back, and that was really important for me.
Um, friendship, friendship, and community. And I know, I guess, um, because I guess some people might be saying, but you could get that if you're just a member. But for me, it's not. By it's something more, by contributing, by supporting people in their growth. I think it comes. It's people don't forget you by doing that, and it isn't something that I've consciously thought about, but it's something I found, and I think even when I was a lot younger, when I was 15, 16, and I used to help out at a dog training club. I was helping with the organisation, and it is that sense of you're seen and you're known, and that is something that I find you get known. You get, there's a visibility that happens. You're not sort of blending into the rest of the membership, and so there is that part of it. But it's that feeling part of a community that you're contributing to, that somehow it is growing because of the contribution that you're making, and the members themselves are suddenly they feel good about themselves,
Mm.
and that they're not uh, things aren't quite so bad, or that, things can turn around. And so I think it is that it just something. As I said, there's friendships, there's people that I've met that have then been able to support me. Out of a conversation, they've been able to support me in some way, and it's just happened. And I think the flip on this is it took me a long time to allow people to contribute to me, and realizing that word, again, it comes down to words. There's helping, there's assisting, there's contributing. And I think with this one particular company, they call it assisting rather than helping,
Mm-hmm.
because there is that distinction. When you're helping someone, it's almost like you're almost doing it for them. Where you're assisting, you are enabling them to succeed.
Mm.
And they would often come up and say, how can I contribute? Rather than, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a part of me, I don't need any help. I had this strong suit going, no, I don't need help. And I realized, it took me a while to get that one and realize, gosh, Caroline, you can drop that, because that's not helping you at all. That is not working anymore. But when I started hearing people say, how can I contribute to you? It was like, oh, it, it, it gave me a power to say, well, okay, could you do this for me? Or could you do that? And it was more like there was a teamship happening,
Yeah.
rather than someone taking over or doing it in a direct. Does that make sense? I'm
It
not
makes
sure I'm making
perfect sense.
sense.
And I think that this is very relevant for everyone who is watching or listening, whether you're live or the replay,
Mm-hmm.
that has a hard time to accept help.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely that was a part of my journey, because I was someone who was doing everything myself, and really asking for help for me was almost like a form of admitting I cannot do it on my own, or I'm not good enough for doing it. And I was like, really? Actually, the more help I get, the more impact I can make, because it means that we can make things better faster, and we can get more done. Like the mastermind, in the way we run, and the ambassador program would not run without you in this way. I would not be able to cope with that, to make it happen. But then you are there bringing everyone together and being the gel, the running the mastermind, and so on. And as well with the offer launch accelerator, so accepting even at the beginning, just accepting your help or accepting the help of all the other GTeX member that
Mhm.
wanted to contribute to GTeX, that was a big shift. That helped definitely GTeX grow and create also a way better experience for everyone, myself included, and all the other members. And so for everyone who is here really struggling, it's like, no, I gotta do everything on my own, or I don't want. Now remember, get help, get help, because there are other people that might see something in the vision that you have, and they will want to contribute and be
Mhm.
part of it, and they will play their own role. They will play the part that they want to play, and it can be for a
Mhm.
longer period of time, for a short period of time. You know, never know. But accepting that contribution will make definitely a massive difference.
Mhm.
I want to
I
wrap
think
up.
just so,
Yeah,
sorry, can I just say that there's something else
sure.
just popped in my head? Is being able to be a contribution is actually also a way of saying thank you, because you know there were things that I got from um, supporting with GTeX, same with other companies, but like you, the free events that you put on, to me it was a way of saying thank you, of paying back for those events, for being able to take part in those. Until like there were events that then programs that I could pay for, and so there is having that contribution, that being able to contribute, is people's way of saying thank you,
Mm.
and it's recognizing that as well.
And I never saw it this way, but that's true. That's true. Like, I believe in you. You're doing something good. I want to thank you by
Mm.
giving you my time, my expertise, the helping out with some that is an important thing. That's a very important aspect. So
Mm.
receive that thank you, accept that thank you, and I definitely want to thank you for all the thank yous. That's what it. That's what
Okay.
it is. Way. To wrap up this interview, Caroline, because I
Mm.
love what we talked about. We went from just like a contribution as a concept to the danger of contribution, and how to balance in a good way what you can get back from contribution. What will be a final message around contribution that you would like to leave everyone who's watching or listening with?
Ooh. Um, I guess just be aware of what are your reasons for wanting to contribute, but also just really take on board that it's more about what are you bringing to the contribution, and who are you being, because when you're assisting or you're contributing, it's about who you're being. So just just look at those reasons, because if you're coming from your heart and a place of contribution, then something works. This is where the magic happens. If you're going into it for what can you get out of it, doesn't have the same feel, doesn't have the same energy, and you won't get as much out of it. There's something magic happens when you come in there from your heart and wanting to contribute who you're being, that somehow it just all comes back. There's a magic happens. So yeah, just look at your reasons for wanting to contribute.
I love it. I love it. Look at your reason for wanting to contribute. Because also, as you mentioned, every time you contribute, there is something that you might want to get back, and that's absolutely fine. And then you can see how every reason aligns with what you
Mm.
want to give and what you want to receive by contributing, and then also being open.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if we say, "Oh, I'm contributing because I want to get this thing particular back," and that doesn't come back in that form, then you'll feel disappointed.
Yeah.
However, if you say, actually, I'm contributing and whatever's going to come back is going to come back, then you might find that you receive way more that you have expected just because of that reason.
Yeah.
So, Caroline, for people that want to reach out to you, again, big thank you for me and for GTeX as a whole for the work that you've been doing and that you are doing and the support that you're giving. We know that Caroline is there, and don't take it for granted, because what you do within GTeX, and it is remarkable. So thank you. I wanted to use this interview as well to really appreciate you and appreciate all the time that you spent, and all the support that you're given, and all the times where I was annoying, and you put up with that. So thank you for everything. If someone wants to reach out to you, what's the best way, and what do you have going on at the moment?
Yeah, the best way is to find me on Facebook, Caroline Cooper, and also I have a Facebook group. So if you're interested in joining the group, it's called Get Your Book Written. So there's support there in terms of getting your book written, or just getting your writing flowing. And that is a free group. What I do have is I have a membership group whereby we meet. There's opportunity to meet twice a week. It started off, I was thinking I just want to do once a week, but it like couldn't think evening or morning. So I do evening and morning. So some people can come twice a week, some just once a week, depending on their schedule. But the idea is that there's time and space to write. And we have 80 minutes, and there's two sort of slots within there of writing, broken up with 10 minutes of just being, and I do some activities just to shift what's going on. So it just helps the flow with the writing. And yeah, so if you're interested in that, and you because you can't find the time or the space to write, then just come and have a conversation with me and see how I can support you in that respect. So yeah, just get in touch. Let's have a chat.
And all the details and all the links are in the description, or that you can see here. So you click there. There is the Caroline's Facebook group, and there is also Caroline Facebook. So, and if you're interested as well in the membership, send a message to Caroline as well. So, Caroline, thank you again for all your contribution. Congratulations for being the
Thank you.
winner of the Contribution Award. And until next time, everyone, always remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.